Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Feminine Friday. Happy Friday, especially to those who are just getting off of work, who are ready for the weekend. I know I am, because it's going to be beautiful weather this weekend. Fingers crossed it stays like that here in the East Coast. And I know you guys want to take advantage of it. So in light of the beautiful weather that we're having, I wanted to come to you guys with a nice, juicy topic. Something a little spicy. Maybe a little too spicy, I don't know. And just offer you guys a different perspective on the topic of how men, money, and power are connected. And I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on the matter. But before we get into today's video, do remember to subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications, do like the video, do drop a comment below if you guys think that you guys know what I'm gonna talk about. If you guys think you guys know the level of spicy I'm gonna go. I'm curious, whether you're a guy or a girl, I wanna hear it. I want to hear it. I want to hear your preemptive thoughts on what you think this video is going to be about. But without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Okay, so where do we even start? I know I say that in all my videos, but today I actually have notes written down because I didn't want to talk on a stream of consciousness regarding this topic. I think it could be very dense. And it's 3 different categories about things that has many different layers to it. And I wanted to specifically talk to you guys about what I learned about how men, money, and power are not different, how they're connected. And I know it's a different perspective, and I know you guys think that I'm going to probably be very ruthless in this video. But no, I wanted to share my life lessons on how I know that men and money and power are connected, and how you can view them, and overall share with you guys basically something that I think is going to help you guys in the short and long term. So do remember to watch the entire video. But getting started, so like I said before, I used to think that those 3 things were separate. And I learned through life experiences that they're actually not. And when you do kind of see that perspective, it's hard to go back, and it's hard to be the same. It's hard to have the same mindset you have. It doesn't mean that you lost your innocence, or it doesn't mean that now you see the world in a very evil way. Not at all. But it does give you a sense of clarity on how to proceed in life, so you are not basically taken by a fool or taken advantage of, depending on the situation that you're in. So let's start with the first thing. Let's start with men. So this one, I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I'm gonna be real with you guys. What I learned about men is that they're not like confusing individuals. Like, people say that men are very simple. It's hard for me to actually agree with that actual statement, because I think that there's so many different types of men, and overall I think that you can simplify a person, but there are layers to everyone, and is depth to everyone, and it's not like what you see and what you hear is what you get. That's what I've learned. But that's not where I'm going with this video. Where I'm going with this video is that some people, especially us women, sometimes think that men are confused. And I think the notion that we get that from is from 2 things. One, because we grew up with boys, and sometimes, they say that women advance faster than men. Just because we have the ability to advance or learn things faster doesn't automatically make them slower, or doesn't automatically make them incompetent or confused. It just makes us different. And I think that sometimes we can get caught up in the excuse of women being more developed than men, that we automatically think that men don't know what they want. And the truth is, men value what they actually desire. So he's not confused at all. So sometimes when you're in a place of complacency, when you're in a place that you don't know, when you're in a place of yourself where you don't know where this is going, when you're confused, 9 times out of 10, and I would just say this, especially like if you're in a relationship dynamic, 9 times out of 10, that man just doesn't value you as much as you would want, or sometimes doesn't value you at all. And it all shows in his actions. When a man really wants to do something, whether if it's play a video game, whether if it's go to the gym, whether if it's pursue a woman, whether if it's go get money, or whether if it's just like, nothing at all, you will see that man do what he wants to do. Nine times out of 10. And I'm not trying to put this all into one bubble and say that men don't make sacrifices or aren't disciplined. No. But what I'm saying, nine times out of 10, especially when it comes to relationships, a man's behavior will reflect how much he values you. And there's nothing confusing about his behavior. If he's not paying attention to you, if he's not calling you, if he's not trying to make you feel like there's some kind of foundation with you and him, then nine times out of 10, you're just not one of his priorities, because a man will prioritize what he really wants. And we see that. Sometimes guys get off of work, they go straight to the game. Sometimes we see that sometimes guys get off of work and they just do more work. And sometimes guys just work all day, or you see how sometimes a guy meets a girl and he's just all about her and he wants to make her happy, and he's just really like, he prioritizes that relationship. So, and from my experience, yes, that's usually how it goes. You don't really have to question a man on if he prioritizes you or not. Just look at his behavior. Do you feel like he's not calling you enough? Do you feel like he's not texting you enough? Do you feel like he's not giving you enough attention or affection? And being realistic about what's normal, because I know some women be like, oh, I want him to text me all day, blah, blah, blah. If that man's a hardworking man, he's not texting me all day, regardless of how much he prioritizes you. But overall, do you feel like there's a sense of security with you and that man? Do you feel like you are a value to him? And I think that's important. And I don't want to just like I said, I'm just overviewing something that I realized. And the soft truth isn't that this is not like coming from like a bitter perspective. This is coming from like a perspective of clarity. And I'm not saying this just in a relationship dynamic. I'm saying this even in a business partnership. Whichever one, you'd be very surprised when a man feels like, even in a business partnership, when a man feels like, hey, this should be prioritized over this, but you have a different perspective, or you think they should both be prioritized equally, you would see what he would go, like what he goes after will show you like, hey, I may respect your opinion, but this is what I want to do. And I don't want women to think, or people out there that have business partnerships with men, or trying to pursue a relationship with men, that he's confused or unsure. No, men are very sharp, they're very stern. They do take their time a little bit sometimes, but they know what they want essentially. And I'm gonna tie this all together on how they're all the same. But going into money is a little bit different, but it overall, like I said, is connected to men as well. With money though, what I learned about money is that it gives you a sense of comfort. Sometimes when you don't have as much money, that can reflect into the amount of options that you have. So sometimes you stay in a position that you don't really want to stay in. You stay in a circumstance that you don't really want to be in, and it's because of the where you are with money. And I'm not saying that make money your God. I'm not saying, oh, money is the say all be all. What I'm saying is the truth. Money gives you flexibility, and flexibility gives you comfort. And money also gives you a sense of being able to move how you want. Whether if it's you want to leave your job, whether if it's you want to start something new, whether if it's you want to just live a more open and free life, without attending to a specific schedule, money gives you the power to build the life that you want, so you can have the comfort that you want. That just kind of ties to a little bit of a lot. And I'm not saying, like I said before, I'm not saying to make money your God, but sometimes we tend to stay in situations and matters that and overextend in ways that we shouldn't, because the lack of money, or because we don't have as much money as we would need or even want to be in a certain position to walk away from things. And how you handle your money, how you handle your finances is very important. It's not like I'm gonna say like, hey, become a millionaire tomorrow, figure it out. No, but over time, understanding like what you're working towards, the money that you are earning, what you're doing with it is really important. So long term, you're not taking the shorter end of the stick on and staying in situations that you really don't want to be in. And then before we tie all this in together, let's go into power. So power, this one was a tricky one for me because I'm soft-hearted by nature. not just like as a woman, but just as like an individual person. I'm probably more soft-hearted than the average woman. And I think a lot of us associate power with being ruthless, controlling people, and then just being cold. But I learned that that is not what power is. And having a soft heart doesn't make you a powerless or a weak person. For a long time, I thought about my vulnerabilities in the wrong way. But what I learned, there's real power being soft, but paired with awareness. Like having discernment and boundaries is very important, especially when you have more of a reserved or soft nature. And it doesn't make it less powerful than those who are more outspoken or those who are ruthless. Because I think that what's a greater power besides controlling others is being able to control yourself. So when you have that soft power of not engaging with people, but understanding that you're not going to be taken advantage of and having that awareness, having those having discernment, having those boundaries, I think in my opinion makes you even more powerful because it puts you in a mindset where you can't be controlled, you can't be manipulated, and you can't be taken advantage of. And I think, like anything in life, it starts with you. If you're not able to control yourself, if you're not able to navigate and influence your day to day, your mindset, your behaviors, then eventually, even if you have a natural gift of influence, eventually you're going to see the world crumbling down because you can't sustain it. And power and sustainability is important. So just because someone's like outspoken, just because someone is a certain way and it's, I guess, like has an quote unquote more obvious sense of authority, having that moment to understand that sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the person not speaking at all and listening. And I think that there is different types of power. However, tying everything in together between men, money, and power, what connects them all, if you guys didn't catch the theme of everything, is having standards. Having standards when it comes to men, having standards when it comes to money, and having standards when it comes to power. Let's start off with men. Having standards when it comes to men is and all three of them, is having enough discernment to know what's real and what's not. So having enough discernment to face reality, but also understand yourself. So when it comes to men, don't let yourself be played by a fool and think that that man is confused. That man knows exactly what he's doing. So you take reality for what it is, and you can know reality by his behavior. So set that boundary for yourself. And when it comes to money, be real with yourself. Know about your spending habits. Know about your opportunities. Lay out your goals. Think about the kind of lifestyle that you want and the kind of options that you want to have, or even think about the things that you currently are facing that you don't like, and aligned, have enough standards with yourself to be disciplined, to build up the money, to build up the wealth that you want. So you don't have to accept certain things and certain treatments and be in certain environments that you don't want to be. And lastly, with power, having a standard of internally of who you are, like, and knowing yourself. Like me, I am a soft person, but I am not going to be taken advantage of. I'm not going to be manipulated, and I can just see things for what they are. I don't need to be ruthless. I don't need to speak loudly. I don't need to be an obvious sense of authority. I just need to know how to govern myself and how I want to present myself and how to control myself. Especially, like, I think women sometimes we get ahead of ourselves in all three categories. And when I say get ahead of ourselves, I mean we get so emotional with maybe we like this guy and we're so giddy for him. Maybe we came into this newfound money and we become irresponsible and not as frugal as we should be in planning long term. Or maybe we get super excited when we get in a position or a place that sometimes we think that we have to be a certain way to be respected and accepted in a certain way. And I'm here to tell you no. Based off my experiences, what matters is the standards that you put with the men, with yourself when it comes to your money, and when it comes to your self control. And knowing how you want to be perceived in all three is important. So it starts literally with you. And I know that I say this a lot in my videos, but it's as true as the first video that I made, as it is today, as it's going to be in every other video that I make. Being intentional about yourself when it comes to interacting with people, especially those of the opposite sex, when it comes to your finances, especially when you come into new money or when you're in a season of struggle and you have to be more aware and disciplined and strategic with money, or whether you are in a position to reflect who you are and stand your ground in a certain aspect. Understand how you want to be perceived. Understand that these things are connected, because the foundation that you have for yourself, the standards that you set with yourself, will translate into all those three things. So be mindful of that. When it comes to men, when it comes to money, when it comes to power, don't let yourself be played by a fool. Be realistic, and most importantly, hold your ground when it comes to your standards. That doesn't mean you have to be all loud. That doesn't mean that you have to be all nasty or ruthless or anything like that. But it's respectfully saying, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is how I move, and I'm going to move in life without harming anyone, unapologetically, and I'm doing this for the greater good of myself and for the greater good of others. And when you have that kind of heart, when you have a good heart, you automatically don't want to engage in certain things. You automatically want the best for yourself and others, and you automatically know how to build that foundation. So that's all I have for today's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys took a lot of good gems from this video. But I'm curious. Did you guys think how did you guys think that this video was gonna go? Did you guys expect me to say all those things? Did you guys expect it to be a little bit spicier? Did you guys expect me to bash men and all this other stuff? I'm definitely curious, so drop a comment below. Do subscribe to the channel, turn on your post notifications. Remember, we drop videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I'll see you guys in my next video. So bye.